He shouldn't be this good. That is the sentence that has followed Emanuel Navarrete his entire career, whispered by commentators and written by skeptics who value textbook form over raw results. He's lanky, his technique is often described as ugly, and he throws heavy, looping punches from angles that shouldn't exist in a traditional physics textbook. But as of 2026, the man they call Vaquero, the cowboy, has turned that perceived awkwardness into a dominant three-division empire. He doesn't just fight. He breaks opponents down, slowly and ruthlessly, round after round, using a physiological and psychological attrition that few can withstand. With an unnatural 72-inch reach for his weight class, a gas tank that never seems to hit empty, and a punching volume that smothers world-class champions, Navarrete is the ultimate glitch in the boxing matrix. Today, we're breaking down the $6 million empire, the quiet, guarded family life, and the brutal destruction by design of Mexico's most underrated warrior. Born in the dusty, quiet shadows of San Juan Zitlaltepec, Mexico, Emanuel Navarrete Martinez was sharpened in the shadows of local gyms, an awkward kid with a relentless engine and fists that never stopped moving. Most modern fighters try to be clean, focusing on perfect posture and aesthetic footwork. Navarrete chose a different path. He chose to be effective. To understand the sheer magnitude of his rise, you have to look at the night the world tried to ignore him. December 2018. He walked into Madison Square Garden as a massive plus 500 underdog against the undefeatable Isaac Dogboe. The pundits expected a one-sided blowout in favor of the champion. What they got instead was a 12-round nightmare of nonstop leather. Navarrete didn't just win the WBO junior featherweight title. He bullied the champion so comprehensively that the rematch 5 months later wasn't even a contest. It was a systematic demolition that eventually forced Dogboe's corner to throw in the towel to save their fighter's life. From that moment, he became the most active and reliable champion in boxing. While other stars fought once a year to preserve their zero, Vaquero defended his belt 5 times in just 9 months. He wasn't just collecting checks. He was building a legend of Iron Man consistency. He demolished Francisco de Vaca in 3, outclassed Juan Miguel Alord with clinical precision, and famously fought through an agonizing broken thumb to stop Gio Santissima. But as he climbed through the weights, the critics grew louder, claiming that his flailing style wouldn't scale against the larger, more powerful men in the higher divisions. They were wrong. In 2020, he moved to featherweight and dismantled the slick Ruben Villa to become a 2-division king. A year later, he delivered a masterpiece against Christopher Diaz, dropping him 4 times with a variety of hooks and uppercuts before entering a 1,000-punch war against Joe Gonzalez that proved his conditioning was nothing short of supernatural. By 2023, he reached the rare air of a 3-division world champion, showing his championship heart by rising from the canvas after a heavy knockdown to TKO Liam Wilson for the WBO junior lightweight title. Every time the boxing world expected his ugly style to hit its ceiling, he simply increased the volume and shattered the glass. But what drives a man to fight with such desperate, suffocating volume, round after round? But even the most reliable engines face mechanical failure and fatigue. In 2024, the Vaquero momentum hit a wall. A razor-close split decision loss to Dennis Berincic during a daring jump to lightweight, combined with a controversial no contest against Charlie Suarez due to a disputed cut, left the cowboy at a professional crossroads. For the first time in years, the boxing world asked the dangerous question: has the sheer volume of his career finally caught up to his body? The answer came in December 2024. In a high-stakes, trilogy-defining rematch against the elite Oscar Valdez, Navarrete didn't just win. He delivered a career-best 6th-round knockout that froze the entire division. It was the ultimate moment of redemption, proving that his power doesn't just come from his arms, but from a relentless, deep-seated Mexican grit that refuses to be sidelined by age or injury. And that momentum carries us to right now. As of February 28, 2026, the cowboy is back in the spotlight, standing in the center of the ring in Glendale, Arizona. He's defending his WBO junior lightweight title against the dangerous IBF champion Eduardo Nunez. A high-stakes unification bout that serves as yet another chapter in his relentless quest for undisputed status. Fans are watching closely. But here is the hook that keeps fans coming back. In a world of flashy Instagram boxers who spend more time on their brand than their jab, Navarrete is a ghost. He doesn't post the cars to flex. He doesn't engage in scripted shouting matches at the weigh-ins. He just shows up with a rugged resolve and ruins your favorite fighter's night. But while his hands are violent and chaotic, his lifestyle is a masterclass in quiet humility. As of 2026, his net worth sits at a rock-solid $6 million. A fortune built not through viral stunts or loudmouth trash talk, but through massive WBO title purses, consistent pay-per-view points, and a reputation for being a promoter's dream. Most fighters hitting this level of wealth immediately head for the hills of Hollywood or the neon-soaked penthouses of Las Vegas. Not Navarrete. He still lives in the heart of Mexico, staying close to the soil and the people that raised him. Navarrete doesn't own a glass-walled, hollow mega mansion with a dozen spare bedrooms he doesn't use. Instead, he has invested heavily in a substantial, high-security family compound in Mexico City. It's a custom-built fortress designed to prioritize comfort, safety, and tradition over architectural ego. Every brick was paid for in bruises and blood, and inside, the decor is less nouveau riche and more family-first, featuring a dedicated high-performance space for his training equipment and a trophy room that he rarely shows off to the public. His choice of vehicles tells the exact same story of practicality over pretense. He doesn't drive a neon-colored Lamborghini to get attention at red lights. Instead, his daily driver is a black Chevrolet Suburban, sleek, spacious, and the ultimate practical choice for a family man who prioritizes security and room for his kids over flashy 0 to 60 times. For the more rugged, unpaved terrain of his hometown, rumors circle about a high-performance Ford Raptor parked in his garage, a desert-conquering powerhouse that fits the Vaquero nickname perfectly. But true to form, you won't find him revving it for a TikTok trend. For Navarrete, the car is a tool for transport, not a prop for a manufacturer persona. Behind the scenes, the cowboy is a man defined by a quiet, ironclad devotion to his family. Married and a father of 2, Navarrete has always chosen the sanctity of privacy over the desperate need for digital publicity. His wife has remained his anchor throughout the storms of fame, a presence that doesn't need to be proven in pixels or carefully curated social media posts to be real. At just 19 years old, Navarrete became a father. That moment didn't just change his life, it changed his entire internal physics. School and youthful distractions faded into the background as the ring transformed from a mere ambition into a survival necessity. He wasn't chasing glory for himself anymore. He was chasing generational stability for his children. Mentally, Navarrete doesn't fight to win a points match on a judge's scorecard. He fights to erase the nagging doubt of his own unpolished style. Every punch is a psychological middle finger to the critics who called him clumsy, unrefined, or simply lucky. His pressure isn't just a physical strategy. It's an insecurity turned into a lethal weapon. He smothers his opponents because he refuses to give the world a single second to look away or find a flaw in his game. To him, if he stops punching, he becomes vulnerable to the labels the world wants to give him. While his rivals spend their purses on ice-out watches and temporary designer jewelry, Navarrete has spent his millions building a fortress of long-term stability for his family. He is frequently seen in local gyms in San Juan Zitlaltepec, not for a choreographed photo op, but to drop off boxes of gear or lace up the mitts for a local kid who reminds him of his younger self. To his 2 children, he isn't the fearsome 3-division world champion. He's just a man who comes home, stays grounded, and teaches them the value of hard work. And that is the secret to his longevity and his appeal. The reason fans can't stop watching. He is the everyman who became an Iron Man through sheer force of will. If he chases one more belt in a 4th weight class, he becomes a certified legend, joining the elite, hallowed ranks of Mexican icons like Canelo Alvarez and Julio Cesar Chavez. If he retires now, He leaves as the man who proved that you don't need a pretty style or a loud mouth to be a beautiful, world-class champion. So, here's the binary stake for the cowboy. If Navarrete keeps winning, he becomes the most decorated and respected, awkward fighter in the history of the sport. If he loses his rhythm, he becomes a cautionary tale of what happens when a high-volume, high-risk engine finally burns out after years of redlining. What do you think? Is Emanuel Navarrete the most underrated fighter of this generation? Or is his unique, awkward style finally reaching its absolute limit? Drop your winner and next opponent prediction in the comments below. Before you go, click the link in the description to join our inner circle and become a channel member. You'll get early access to our documentaries and help decide which boxing icons we cover next. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay hungry. Because in the ring, pressure is a choice, but for the Vaquero, it's a lifestyle.